There's a creek I'm going to finally investigate. This is indeed a creek. Goat. We just literally going to ignore this. Oh. Okay. I'm not one to ignore goats, but when I do, usually they're head deep in water with creepy music. You're okay, right, goat? Yeah, okay, he's fine. That was the one I got earlier. That's where I came from, and then I haven't looked in here for a while. Oh, you can open it. I didn't realize that earlier. Not sure what you can do by opening it, but I've opened it. I guess I'll leave you open rather than closed. Sure, why not? Alright, so let's finally go forward from here. I got all distracted from all that stuff. Good old pie. There's another figurine. There has to be a reason I'm writing this stuff down. So, looks like doll scent. Let's go forward, though. Actually, no, before I go forward, because this was the area I was at earlier. Okay, there's nothing else over there, so I guess this is the right way. Is that the goat manor, or where am I? Fence? That's where I went to last time to get to the windmill. That probably just lead to the goat manor, which I now have the key for, so I'm going to avoid it for the moment. I'm going to go forward first. Yep, this should lead me to the windmill at least. Part of me thinks I probably shouldn't check this out. It's also being incredibly loud. Well, she's no longer in the windmill. I've affirmed that much. I guess we head back then. And we have our little goat thing. I want to make sure... Well, let's first see. I think I passed the third gravestone. I want to solve that gravestone puzzle before I go too deep into this. Might be already too late not to go too deep into this, but you know. But I swear I passed a third gravestone with a third design earlier. Obviously, I don't remember what's on that design, but I think if I look around, I can find it. I commented earlier when I was over in this direction. I was like, hey, look, there's a weird gravestone. Okay, that's the hourglass I saw earlier. I'm gonna go this way for the sake of going this way. Follow the trails deeper into the forest. I don't believe. Well, yeah, I did. This is where I saw the doll thing. But this is when I was just getting all the directions at the moment. I now know. Okay. So maybe I didn't see anything. Maybe I need to go ahead in order to get the right gravestone. Still nothing in the dark place. Okay. I'll head backwards for the moment. I guess the goat is what I'm gonna head towards. Let's see what this provides, or I will in a second. How did I not see this over here earlier? Okay, well anyways, let's see if we can open up the gates. We do in fact have the key. Or I thought we had the key. The key has in fact gone missing. Journal? Oh. Okay, no. Map? That's a pretty extravagant map. It's grown a lot since I last checked it. Alright, let's get to exploring. If the gate doesn't want to work for us on its own right, I probably need to find that last gravestone. Where would a gravestone be stored? I'm over here for the moment, so I'm just going to investigate. Because the windmill's on the opposite side of the forest than my cabin, for example. But I don't see anything. Alright, time to be a completionist and try and find this last gravestone. Or I could guess the design. Of course, the chances of that working out successfully are quite slim. I feel like this is the area which I've really taken the least stake in. I already did that design. This goat has me suspicious. The goat key turned into water. Wait, clicking it does have a response. Particularly when I click it. Oh, I can pull it out. What? There's my key. Okay, this is a puzzle, but I don't know the solution. Sir Goat, you won't get mad if I have no idea what the solution to this is, right? Can I stuff him back in the water? Will that help? I don't get it. My encyclopedia is from Bloody. Okay, why is this Bloody? Milligan. The Milligan. Some Milligans died in the hands of angel makers. The angel maker would typically be paid by the child's poor mother to find a decent home for the infant. When the mother left, the infant was murdered. Typically, the Minlins are murdered by their mothers, often unmarried women who have been left to fend for themselves. The Minleen would commonly be left in the woods to die, or they would have been drowned by their mothers in the brooks or bogs. Some Milleens died at the hands of angel makers. The angel maker would typically be paid by the child's poor mother to find a decent home for the infant. When the mother left, the infant was murdered. The most common way for the Minlin was to haunt was through a horrible wailing sound. The Minleen might take the form of a ball of light, similar to those of Erblas, Scandinavian will-o'-wisp, and lead the curious traveler astray. Sometimes they would cry for their mothers to breastfeed them, which would apparently set them free. One story from Berslin tells of an old farmer on his way home to the forest. He is approached by a small child who follows him and says, "Grandfather, grandfather, I am so hungry." The old man tries to ignore it, but the child keeps on nagging, so finally the old man loses his patience. "If you want someone to feed you, then feed, but you won't get any milk from me." The child seems pleased and leaves. When the old man comes back, he finds his daughter lying dead on the floor, bleeding from her chest. The child he met was the spirit of his murdered grandson. A person who helps the Milleens find their way to the other side was often left with a gift. According to some sources, the Milleen would be taken to other supernatural creatures such as Hobbs, or if it had been drowned, the Brook Horse. Oh! I'm supposed to find their bodies. Got it. One of them just so happened to be inside my encyclopedia. I'll also take this opportunity to read up about this lady I met earlier. Skogsrekt, the Huldra. The Huldra is known to have played a part in Norse mythology, but she is likely of an older origin from when man lived off the forest rather than the fields. The Huldra was the guardian of the forest. She tended to the trees, plants, and animals. A single large tree in a grove surrounded by smaller trees was often considered to be the Huldra's home, or even the Huldra herself. In most stories, she presented herself as a beautiful young woman. This was, however, not her real appearance. Very few saw the Huldra's true face, and even fewer lived to speak of it. She was often described as a lonely and woe-filled creature. Her relationship with humans was very complex. She could enthrall a man with her beautiful song and lure him deeper and deeper into the forest, where she either wedded or killed him. The men kissed by the Huldra became apathetic and slow. According to some accounts, the Huldra was a positive force. If a hunter was killed or was kind to the Huldra, she might blow her breath down the barrel of his rifle, which would bless his hunt. Colliers considered her their friend, as she kept fires from spraying from their charcoal kiln. She also helped those who willingly offered their blood to her, but this was dangerous, as the Huldra might drink the giver dry. The Huldra was thus capable of doing both good and bad deeds. It was very hard to predict whether she would help or harm, since she played the rules known only to her. Is there anything else I've encountered yet? I haven't encountered this building, but I can see it on my map, so that's where the key which I'm trying to obtain goes. I haven't met a horse. I guess I'm meaning to go right now. Alright. Kikregrimen, the Church Grim. Of all the creatures in Swedish folklore, the Church Grim was doubtlessly the most complex and certainly the most feared. Hi, guy. Little was known of it, since it was considered bad luck to even speak about it. The Church Grim's appearance varied, which could possibly be attributed to the nature of the Church Grim's origin. When a church was built in medieval times, an animal was sometimes buried alive under the floors, most commonly goats, since they were comparatively cheap. There have also been stories of criminals being buried alive as punishment. In other versions, the criminal's heart was cut out and then placed inside an animal carcass that was sacrificed. The heart was central in many of the myths surrounding the Grimm. Stories from the south of Sweden told that if you touched the Church Grimm's heart, you could stare into the eye of creation. The Church Grim guarded the church against thieves and grave robbers, but because of it, even honest folks avoid the church at night. Some stories say that if you were unlucky enough to be the last one to die during the year, you would serve the Church Grim the following year. And this is the last day of the year, so oh boy. There are other stories that suggest that Church Grim was not a guardian at all, but rather a sort of parasite that was drawn to the energy of the church. While there, it fed on people's hopes, dreams, and fears. A recent and controversial theory suggests that the Church Grim was closely related to a nameless Bronze Age deity. How's it hanging? Alright, so we're going through the woods and we need to find the spirits. The will-o-wisp of the children that were drowned. That does make it shine light on some things. I bet these buildings that had no purpose previously now have these will-o-wisp in them. That's my bet. Actually, noticing there's suddenly blood all over the snow. I bet it's inside this building. Oh, wait. It's locked now. It's a creepy sound playing. Okay. Do I change the letters? But if that's the case, how do I turn them? I don't know how I change the letters here. I'll have to come back to you. But the forest apparently has changed. Because that's definitely new. The music's also different. That's the creek we came from, but I know we're looking for the will-o-wisp. There's a few things that had nothing in them earlier. So let's do some investigating. This toy looks like it's going to turn into a path at some point in the game. Alright. Go through here. I'm not going to be able to guess the last one. So we should also keep our eyes out for the last gravestone. The tree no longer is bloodied, but still has a red aura to it. That will lead forward. More blood. That was not there before. Oh, I can. This is that dirt patch I found earlier. So it's a woman. Let's see if I can pull it slowly instead of fast. There I go. Second one obtained. Wait, I need to hold on to it. Come on. We're just gonna take you back home. Don't be disturbed. See, it's so adorable, this little kicking and shrieking. Alright, so we need to hold them and carry them to our will-o-wisp factory we have going on here. That's two collected. Let's go forward and continue investigating. I'll move it fast with they reappear. Just kind of curious. Well, it stops because apparently Lay won't let me move it fast. I have to move it slowly. Forward. The doll's gone. That'll lead to the goat thing, but obviously we don't have anything over there yet that we need to do. I'll go forward before I go backwards. So actually, no, I have to go backwards here. Or forward for that, so let's go this way. The blood definitely is helping us pinpoint things. The scrum noise is gross. It's beautiful. I bet there's one in here or something. Maybe this has a purpose later in. There's no blood around it. And the babies make their presence really well known. If the blood shows where the baby is, then there's definitely one inside that area with the different letters. But I'll find the last one before I try doing that last baby. And over here, because I don't know how to do that last one. I mean, it won't be behind this gate because that's what I need the key for. I just noticed something. Let me go back and see if that happened as I thought it did. I think I saw things peeking their heads out over the hills, but then they disappeared quickly when I spotted them. Maybe one near the village? It's possible. Bloody windmill deity. Yep, here we go. There's something over here. Oh dear. Baby, you need to stop bleeding all over the place. Let's go inside. Or there's nothing inside. That could work too. I can't look any more up than I'm already looking. So there has to be something I need to do here. The last baby is definitely here. The windmills also stopped moving. How do I potentially get this baby? Wait, there's an up area. Wait, that's just the windmill, though. Can I not climb the ladder? Wait, I can turn the gears. That didn't honestly make me jump. Okay, I got my theory. Yep, that turns the windmill. I need to find a baby like this. Almost there, baby. Not close enough? Okay. Hey! Where were you hanging out of, though? Trying to figure out what that thing is hanging off from. Let's pick up the baby and bring this one back home. We know where the last one is, we just need to figure out how to get it. See, it's still adorable. Who's a good baby? You're a good baby. I'm just gonna bring you back to your good old goat papa. He's over this direction. There's the creek, and there we go, 3 down. Let's go forward. Next up, have to check out this bloodied house, because there's some puzzle here which I haven't quite figured out, but it's obviously where the last baby is. Okay. There's a layer implication that implies the layer part of this puzzle is important, but I have no idea how to turn them. I don't get it. I can't interact with any of that stuff. Is there something else I'm supposed to be clicking on? The only thing I can interact with are these things. And I'm not doing much by clicking these. I might need a hint here. Not my journal. Hint. The Merlins and the Brook Horse, part 2. It seems to be asking for 4 souls. Okay, I know that. Let blood and strange path guide you. There's something in the east. There wasn't there before. A blood-stained carriage. Horrid can be heard by the windmill. Perhaps his wing is connected to something on the inside. What? Oh, I know what it's talking about. In the kiln, another unwanted child resides. The key to the kiln lock is indeed keys. Encyclopedia might enlighten you on one of the mythlings' whereabouts. So that didn't help me outside of saying, okay, there's keys to this. I don't. Keys. Where am I gonna get keys? I guess I need to go key searching. To be fair, I haven't been in this direction. I still haven't figured you out. Still don't fully get what the combination is for that. Here's my cottage, but I still won't go inside my house. I bet my house holds like some deep, dark, some dreary secret, because I just, not able to look inside my own house. The key is indeed keys. That is the extent of the help I have on this. And to be honest, it's not very helpful advice, so... This is going to be a brainstormer for me for a little bit. I mean, there's nothing in the dark I'm able to see. Ah, jeez. I mean, I've looked all over the forest. I don't think there's anything here. I mean, there's things in the forest, don't get me wrong. We're seeing a lot of weird things tonight, but yeah. If I was a key, where would I be hiding my key stuff? Maybe I enter inside the little... No, I can't. N and U. I mean, they have to stand for something. Just have my map labeled N and U. Anything on my map labeled at all? Trying to think if there's anywhere I haven't been. So that's the windmill, that's the plain, that's the woods. This is where I was. I know where that is. That's the cemetery gate. That's okay, so that's where my cottage is. This leads to that area which has the underground thing that has no use. That's that. That's that warp stone. There's the dead tree I've been to. Apparently the area I haven't been to then is the hill. Which apparently I get to from the underground area, but of course I haven't figured out how to get to the hill from there yet. So the areas I haven't been to is the hill, the cemetery, and the church. But I've been everywhere else. You get to the hill by the underground area, and you get to the church from the lock gate that we're trying to solve right now. Encyclopedia moment. What is this? The church? Year walk. Oh, this explains what year walk is. Year walking was, at its core, a vision quest with the purpose being to foresee the future. There were very rigid rules concerning the year walk, and not adhering to them would prove very dangerous, even fatal. How the practice of year walking came to be is shrouded in mystery, but it seems to have been a widespread practice in Sweden until the beginning of the 19th century, and in some rural parts as late as the beginning of the 20th century. The practice was likely over 1,000 years old, and most certainly pagan. Year walking varied greatly regionally and even locally. There might have been differences between one village and the next. All of the variations had a couple of elements in common, though. A year walk could not be done on any common day. There were certain days a year when the gate was opened, generally in Lillesand with important festival days such as May Day, Midsummer's Eve, or Christmas Eve, and most commonly New Year's Eve. A year walker could not partake in any of the food or drinks that were served on these days. A sacrifice of no little significance, since the feast were some of the rare occasions where food would be plentiful and varied. A year walker had to avoid other people, so they commonly walked themselves in dark rooms and were not allowed to see a fire for the entire day. Perhaps not a vast sacrifice on Midsummer's Eve, but on cold winter days it would be unforgivable or uncomfortable at least, if not hazardous. If the year walker followed these steps, he would leave his dark room at the stroke of midnight. This would be his last chance to cancel the year walk. Once he ventured out there was no turning back. The church was the final destination for a year walker. On his way, he could typically encounter a number of supernatural creatures, which would pose a threat physically, mentally, and spiritually. If the year walker made it to the cemetery, he would walk around the church in an intricate pattern. This would open the year walker's eyes to the future, but it would also lure out the church grim. After having completed the year walk, the walker would see visions that could manifest themselves in different manners. When the year walker left the cemetery, he might, for instance, see a somber procession of dancers dressed in their finest church clothes. These would be the people that would die the following year. A reoccurring theme is, of course, the year walker who meets his own ghost on the road. Another story tells of how the walker would see newly dug graves. Love played a great part too, so a walker would typically meet wedding processions or even attend weddings yet to come. One testimony from the late 19th century tells of a magical patient named Martin Nilsson, who describes his visions as otherworldly experiences. Before I saw what happened next year, I lived among the stars. I lived there for many lifetimes, it seemed. What do I care for next year? Time has already ended. Today, the practice seems to be almost entirely forgotten. And these are all based off of real folklore stories, of course, but yeah, because I guess I'm reading up at the moment. The horse. Oh, wait, that's the thing I meant in the forest. Okay, I thought it was a goat, but I guess it's a horse. The Backhasten horse, the Brook Horse. Sweden is a country that has a lot of lakes, rivers, streams, and brooks, and Swedish folklore is filled with strange creatures residing in the dark waters. The Brook Horse was a pale horse who lived in a creek or lake, alluring children to ride on its back. The Brook Horse spine grew for every rider that it lured on the top of its back. When the Brook Horse was satisfied, it leaped into the water, whereupon the children drowned. The Brook Horse had a lot in common with the Nix, a handsome young fiddler who lured young girls down to the water, and according to some, they were one and the same. It's likely that the Brook Horse was made up to keep children from playing too close to the water. One of the more unusual descriptions comes from a story told in the north of Dalarna. A young man is on his way home from his work at a charcoal kiln. He decides to wash up in a nearby creek. The man finds a strange stone, formed like a small child in the water. He picks it up. The man notices that he is not alone. He's being watched by a horse walking on two legs. The horse stretches out a human hand to the man, who gets frightened and runs home to a shack he shares with his fellow workers. He tells the tale to his comrades, who laugh at him and call him a drunken fool. He shows them the stone that now looks quite ordinary. The man curses and goes to bed. When the workers wake up the following morning, they find the man dead in his bed, his lungs filled with water, and the stone nowhere to be seen. The Brook Horse was almost always closely associated with death, not always in a negative way. For instance, in the sad folklore of Lily Nils, the Brook Horse is the one who finally leads little Nils' soul home, and thus ends his long series of misfortunes. And finally, the Raven. Alright, Natrevin, the Night Raven. Carrion birds were deeply linked with the misfortune and death in Scandinavian folklore. The Night Raven, or Natraven, was certainly no exception. The Night Raven was described as a large bird with a sharp beak, sometimes with holes in its wings. If a person gazed through those holes, he would become ill. Other stories told of a giant skeleton bird that would never satisfy its hunger. Travelers foolish enough to be out at night risk being devoured by the terrible bird, especially a festival day such as Christmas or New Year's Eve. The night raven has also been described as an ordinary raven, but if it landed on a house, someone would die shortly with terrible fever. Overall, the night raven was strongly associated with disease. When farmers sent their children out to collect a wild bird's eggs, they had to be careful that they did not pick the eggs of the night raven. Those eggs were considered deadly, but if the child was unsure, he could knock the egg 3 times and say, "Out with the evil spirit." If the egg belonged to the night raven, it would turn black. The night raven not only infested the eggs, it also possessed birds, preferably carrion birds. According to some sources, the night raven was the spirit of an evil, greedy man who had not been buried properly. The greed manifested itself in the night raven's fondness for shiny objects. Meanwhile, back with this puzzle, which I can't. I opened up hints. Not that. Hints. It seems to be asking for 4 souls. La blood, strange guide you. Perhaps the ween. Okay, in the kiln, another unwanted child resides. The key to the kiln lock is, indeed, keys. Okay, Milligen. I was also going to say, so far I got the last Milligen. The 4th one is supposed to be inside the coal kiln. There's blood everywhere, but when you get there, there's only 2 strange irons where I'm stuck at. Holding the gate shut, reading U and N. I can push them back and forth in a bit, that's that. Am I missing out on some hidden control function, or am I completely blind to the actual solution of the puzzle? The key to unlocking N and U buttons is keys. If you still can't get it, use your key. Ha 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 ha. Funny game. That's real funny as my cottage. Okay. I looked up the solution on the Steam forums. Apparently the solution to this particular puzzle is to use your keyboard. Yep. Hold down U, move that up. Hold down N, move that one there. There we go. That was difficult. Hey, you little delicious bundle of joy. Let's bring you back, Daddy. Or I guess the goat that killed you. Hey, you got a friend forever. That's gotta count for something. I thought the creek was a little more that way. Baby's all excited running through the forest. He even goes behind the trees in the foreground. Interesting touch. That's all the babies. That's one excited horse. Bah! Bought myself the key. The creek's also turned to blood, so that's cool. Let's get that finally. Maybe I shouldn't mess with this will-o-wisp like I am doing. Hey, well, oh, I can use this as a light to go inside the cave. I know what I'm supposed to be doing.